All right, everybody. Mtashed here with the RGH podcast, but this podcast, not gonna lie, kind of trash without my two co-hosts, KackisHD and True Vanguard, the best gamers I've ever met in my entire life. Hi, guys.
Gang,
Yo.
gang.
Yeah, you know
What does that even mean? What does that mean?
What do you
On
mean?
gang, bro. Are you stupid?
I think we're boomers. We don't understand.
I
Maybe.
must be. I don't know.
I don't truly know. Today we got some juicy little topics. I'm excited for it.
Juicy, dude.
Very juicy.
Just filled with juice.
The main title, Fallen, Baby Fallen. Very excited about the new Destiny DLC. And that's not a meme. I'm actually excited because I want to play the new raid. I'm actually going to play for a bit and then quit immediately when the Stasis gun comes out because you know I'm not going to have a good time getting frozen.
Let's break down what was revealed.
Sure.
In that,
Yeah,
let's talk about, so basically,
Did you do Did you do a 40-minute breakdown of like all the stuff that they can watch?
it was like 12 minutes, you spaz.
Okay, no, I'm just saying it could be helpful. It could be helpful for
I did a
them.
little breakdown. Of course, if you do want to get all the info, you can go to my channel. It's linked down. I'd say it's linked down below, but I think it's still linked improperly. Hold on, let me try to click this right here. 401, 404 not found. The link to me and True Vanguard's channels are still broken.
Doesn't work.
Still doesn't work.
Well, you guys have the login. Go in and fix it. I'm a busy guy playing Genshin Impact.
Fair enough.
Hold on,
Yeah,
chat.
right.
Chat is
Bang
saying.
out your 10 minutes.
Hold on,
of time.
hold on. Chat is
Just
saying
change it to YouTube.
I'm too loud.
/ KackisHD.
I cannot turn them up anymore. They're as
We'll
they're
just-
as loud as. Oh wait, yes, I have a way. Hold on.
Oh,
That a little bit better? I don't know, guys.
Turn up.
I've
Can
turned you
turn up
guys.
desktop audio in OBS.
fine.
Good try.
We're fine. Listen, turn the volume up, guys. Get over yourselves. All right.
Let's try
We're
this.
good, baby.
Let's try this. How about now? We vibing?
We're vibing.
Testes.
Let's just
Testes,
move
1,
on.
2, 3.
Okay.
It's not that bad. All right. So, essentially, a trailer came out, and then the official update kind of came out, detailing what's going on. Here are the main points. There's going to be a new 6-player activity, 6-player matchmaking activity. So think Menagerie, think Sundial.
So,
That's great. These are some of the best activities. This one's called Override. Then there's going to be a weekly pinnacle mission. We'll talk about this. This is a little bit of an interesting one, but it kind of appears, I think it's starting May 25th, I want to say. And then every week it's coming back, weekly evolving mission. I think it's called Expunge. Then, of course, we have the Vault of Glass raid. Originally came for Destiny 1, the first raid ever, returning back in Destiny 2 as its own kind of thing. And I say that because it takes place on Venus. Venus as a planet is not returning, just this raid. You load, they said you can't go and explore Venus. It's just this raid. It's standalone.
Yeah.
On top of that, you got some new weapons. We have one new exotic confirmed, more than one. One new exotic weapon. The Seasons Pass exotic is a sidearm that can freeze people solid. We'll talk about that later. And there's 3 new exotic armor pieces, all 3 exotic leg armor, which you're going to be able to do the solo lost sectors for. And that's really it for the brunt of the content. The storyline is the Vexer causing trouble. There's an endless night now. We need to team up with Mithrax, who's a fallen splicer, so they're really good with technology, and he has the technology to defeat the Vex's technology and help us win. So that's what's going on.
Yeah.
What about the baby fallen?
What
Now,
about the
there's
main one?
there's a 1-second shot of a fallen holding a bunch of baby fallen. That's it. And the community latched onto that, was like, yeah,
Yeah.
are you
There's-
serious?
There's so much artwork that's already come out. One of my favorites is it was a fallen that looked like Mando, right? Kind of in the Mando pose with the egg, and the baby fallen was in it. It was perfect. Everyone's loving it. Everyone's vibing with the
But
baby.
the egg was a shank.
Do you think?
The egg was a shank. Yeah.
Do you think that the babies would be crit spots and you can fight them,
Yeah.
or they
Everyone's
throw the babies like bombs?
I was gonna say,
No,
dude,
you gotta catch them. You're like, you can't let that.
you
thing
hit
the
one of
ground.
those guys with a rocket launcher. That's an instant multi
You're
kill right
banned.
there, baby. That's your points going up like crazy. I'm gonna be blasting through those nightfalls.
Or like
No worries.
maybe that's one of the raid mechanics. They throw a fallen in with the babies, and if you shoot the babies, you wipe. And it's like, what are you doing? You can't
You
shoot
can't
those
kill
babies.
babies.
It's interesting because it is adding a little bit of like, because like we're teaming up with the Fallen. The Fallen traditionally were like the bad guys, so it kind of started to change with Varix and stuff, but we're teaming up with another kind of good guy Fallen, as far as we know. The Fallen now got babies, they're kind of cute, right? It's kind of like how last season they were humanizing the bad guys a little bit with the Cabal, where like Cadel is like not that bad of a person and like saves Zavala in that cutscene, right? I think you saw that too, Tash, right?
Yeah.
Where Zavala's gonna get executed and then Cadel saves him. It's like you didn't have to do
I actually
that.
didn't see that, so you just completely spoiled that.
Okay, well there you go. That's the Scions are about to snipe Zavala.
Yeah,
One
okay.
runs up and
So I
it's
was actually just about to ask, hey, if I grind it out tomorrow, could I do all the story missions and experience the whole story? But I guess now I don't need to. So that's
I don't even know if you can. That cutscene kind of got introduced at some point.
I'll Google it. There's probably a video.
You'll find it.
You
Awesome.
Google it.
But it is kind of an interesting like theme of like humanizing these like aliens, which we would just kill with no thought. Hive are still just bad guys though.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Screw
the presage mission did that too, because if you dissected the lore there's a lot of interactions between a couple of key Guardian characters, and they have a lot of dialogue about. And there's a whole section where the guy's like, the Fallen really aren't that bad, dude. I spent some time with them. They're okay. Like, some of my buds are Fallen, kind of a thing. And I feel like that's kind of been the way they've been pushing the narrative for a while now.
But like,
Kind of like you said, humanizing some of these bad guys and really focusing on the big bads are still like the Hive and the Darkness.
but it's like,
Oh, sorry.
I killed so many of you. Like
So
now
many.
I just feel bad. And they just did that actually recently in Genshin. They just like revealed that all the Hilichurls, like they used to be the people of that land, and they like got changed. And I'm like, oh my god.
Oh no!
Like,
I
wait,
killed so
what?
many.
It's terrible. I like now I feel bad. And I'm like, oh my god, like I've committed genocide on these
Genocide.
Hilichurls. Like truly. So
Yeah,
yikes.
it's almost like setting up. There is like that theory that the eventual big bad guy would be like the Darkness, and there'd be a new alien race that would be the Darkness. There's like some lore stuff where like actually from Ada 1, when I think she was like holding out for the Darkness, they hear sounds of when the Darkness did invade and like almost got them. So there is the Darkness has some sort of physical form.
Yeah, and some of the concept art that tease the old school concept
They
art.
were
for
thinking
the Slenderman kind of looking.
there. Yeah, there's something there, and so it makes you think like maybe it's like the Cabal especially and the Fallen. The Fallen are just trying to get back with the Traveler. Like they're not servants of the Darkness at all, right? And the Cabal even too. They're kind of wary of the Darkness. So it's almost like setting up like, could you imagine a Lightfall if we like team up with the former bad guys to fight off the Darkness?
That'd be sweet.
That would be
Yeah.
sweet. But let's talk more about the actual factual content about this season. So interestingly, 6-player activity, raid, weapons, mission, zero PvP content. Like
Shocking.
not one map,
They
no
were like,
maps, no
this-
game modes,
the
nothing.
PvP community was like just jaw hit the floor because reading that TWAB 2 weeks, there's 2 weeks, I don't know. Reading that TWAB, they basically said, we totally agree with our player base. You guys are right. Shotguns are really strong because of the way that we've designed our maps. And everyone's like, I think I see where this conversation is going.
Right?
Maybe they're going to start designing some new maps. And they're like, and so we're probably going to have to nerf all the shotguns. And everyone's like, wait, what?
Yeah, because we're not making any
Because
maps.
we're not
Yeah.
making maps.
Yeah, they're like, we agree. Yeah, that was so funny. We agree that like the maps are an issue. Anyways, we're just gonna nerf them though. You
So
idiots.
we're probably going to nerf them all.
Interestingly, though, like the style of this expansion is very like, if you look at some of the new content, it's like it has these like almost like Tron style blocks. Everything is
Yeah.
blocky, and all the blocks have an outline. which is very vexy, very cool aesthetic, but also very easy to design. Like, think of how hard it is to put all the environmental elements into Presage, and then now in this DLC, they're like putting a bunch of blocks together. Like, I imagine that the development costs for making this content would be less. And so it begs the question, like, why don't you just make a PvP map with this? Literally, it's a bunch of blocks. It's all like a Vex simulation. It would, like, you just have a good flow to the map, and you were good to go, baby. And it's one of those interesting things where I know Bungie is going to introduce more PvP maps. I bet you anything to have them planned for Witch Queen for sure. But it's like, at this point, it's like, give us one. I'm sure you can make one. You can have the resources to make one PvP map and just give it to us this season as like, hey, to tide you guys over, right? I think that's so much better than dropping like 6 with Witch Queen, because it's like we gotta wait a long time till then.
I know it's like
we
it's
did
not
like 9, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
it's really is tough because it is more. It's not as easy as we might think. I guarantee you, it's a real. It's manpower, time, energy, effort, and Destiny. But Bungie has historically tried to make sure that all of their environments, even PvP, are rooted in lore. They have a story, they have a purpose. So it's not as simple as put a block here, put a block there. We understand that, but at this point, we're like, it's been too long though.
it's like not that much harder though. Like, it's also like, yeah, like we know it's harder, but I'm not a game designer.
Yeah.
They are. It's like you're being paid to be a game designer. There's got to be certain people there that can design a PvP map. Like, they've got to have.
They're working on another game.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a ton there.
They're just
they're working on a different game.
Yes. Dude, like, that is the scary part. It's like, are we not getting any PvP maps because everyone who makes PvP maps is working on a different IP? Like, that's the scary thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, Bungie, I don't think that's the right approach. I think you've got to, like, no one's going to be interested in your new IP if the current game is in shambles.
Can I just touch on that quickly?
Yeah.
It actually got me thinking even with Titanfall and Apex. We're going to talk more about Apex, but the thing I'm wondering is, they had Titanfall and that was great, and they obviously took a lot of the stuff from Titanfall and put it into Apex Legends. And Apex is amazing, and we'll get into that. But like, Bungie does have some of the best shooting and movement mechanics I've ever seen in a game. Like, that's why I've played that game for so long. What if the new PvP game they're making is a banger? Like, maybe I don't care about Destiny's PvP. Like, maybe they need to focus on the PvE and double down on it. I don't know.
Maybe.
Like, is that the best choice?
Like,
I don't know.
And PvP is like just constantly the side hustle. Is like, if you just want to test out your PvE, the stuff you earn in PvE, play PvP, maybe that's what Destiny 2 will end up being. Because certainly they're going to add a lot of new weapons. Like, dude, Vault of Glass, I don't even know how they're going to do this. Vault of Glass had 9 weapons as rewards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they actually kind of went crazy. If all of those are returning, you have like the Fatebringer, Hezen Vengeance, Corrective Measure, the Radius Time Priest, Praetorian Foil. Oh my god, you just have so much. So it's like the influx of all of those weapons, potentially we don't know if it's all of them, but the influx of those weapons, the influx of the seasonal weapons, we have 3 new Nightfall weapons, there's a new Pinnacle weapon, there's going to be new mods, just the influx, the new exotics, the influx of all this stuff is going to alter the PvP meta. Mm-hmm. So it is going to make PvP field fresher than it is, obviously. But for how long?
Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of spillover, but it'll look like this last season looked. Yeah. That's what it's just going to look like. That you're going to have some spillover from PvE. Hey, we got some cool new guns. I'm going to try out the brass attacks and the new sniper rifle and threat of needle. And you're going to try those things out, and you're going to settle back into a rhythm. Give it a couple of weeks. It's probably going to be much, but more or less the same experience.
Yeah. You're right. Like, once the meta settles, it's kind of like you're just back to playing the same
what
maps.
it is until there's new content. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
or will the meta completely change because of the new freaking exotic sidearm that can freeze people? So sidearms are a primary, a weapon that uses primary ammo can freeze someone solid. Now, freezing someone solid is not powerful at all. What we learned from Beyond Light, like, brother, I'm worried, dude. I'm freaking worried.
I'm withholding judgment. because I was talking about this with Fallout today. I was like, I remember a time when someone said a trace rifle that turns enemies into an orb that gives you a free Nova bomb in PvP. That's broken.
Yeah,
And
when's the
that's
last
gonna
time
be
you saw
OP.
that?
Ruinous
Yeah.
Effigy. I took it for a spin today, and
No, well, they nerfed it twice for no
was
reason. Remember
absolute garbage.
Remember they nerfed Ruinous Effigy going into this season, and
Yeah, they did.
nobody was using it. That was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. Like
There was no reason, but they didn't tell us.
there was no reason. It was like someone got killed by it and got salty and then nerfed it. Like that's basically,
Or it's like
you know?
it breaks an encounter that we don't know about or something.
maybe that's probably what it is. But still, it's like
We don't know the mechanics.
you're right. We
of
don't
it,
know.
yeah.
We don't know. But anything Stasis, I am very worried about. And then we know that there's more aspects coming too. That's one of the crazy things. Like Beyond Light broke the meta, like just shattered the meta, and
No pun intended.
we haven't even seen everything those subclasses have to offer.
Yeah.
We have 3 new aspects and likely more fragments arriving this season. Probably more aspects and fragments arriving in season 15 too. Like, is it like imagine? And if you're to get a perspective, like imagine Shatter Dive is a fragment, or sorry, is an aspect. Shatter Dive is an aspect. It just so happened that Shatter Dive was added right away. What if like they switched aspects and Shatter Dive was added this season? Brother, the amount of people would freak out because luckily it was added right away and it's been nerfed like 3 times.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like at any moment we could get the next Shatter Dive, which
Right, that's right. It's scary.
so scary to think
like
about.
Shatter Dive's out, but what about the next one that we don't know exists?
The
What if
next
there's
Dude, the Titan one where you do your melee and you freeze everyone in front of you, that's like as good as a super. That's
pretty
that's one of
crazy.
the new ones too. It's
Right.
really good.
I've had that take me out of my super multiple times now.
Oh, it's so good.
I just
Like-
had a guy run up to me and use it, and I was like, "What the?" And I turned the game off. It was great. No, I was like, "Nope," and I just ended it for the day. I was
funny,
actually having a good time until that moment.
I actually don't like that aspect as much because I think the base melee is so powerful. But it
really
just
is,
like
yeah.
shows you like how good like literally any aspect could be game breaking because anything involving Stasis is so powerful. So
I've just never felt like the game was like I always felt like my gun skill really mattered, and I've never felt like it mattered as little as now.
less.
It really like obviously I pop off with the snipes and the hand cannon, and I'm having a good time with it, but I die to abilities all the time, or I'm hindered by abilities, or annoyed by abilities.
Yeah.
And
That's right. You're just accosted by them, yeah.
it truly assaulted by him constantly. And the other thing is, even if I'm not getting destroyed by him, I feel like I always have them on cooldown. They're ready to go, and I realize how powerful they are, and they're not very fun to use in a lot of cases. Like I typically don't play Stasis because it feels almost cheap. Like it still just feels kind of cheap. I don't know. It's just something's off there. PvP is
something
dead to me. I'm not gonna lie. It's just is what
something that annoys me is I feel like it's really hard to get a good flank in Destiny 2 because the radar is so wide. It's like impossible not to notice someone's trying to flank unless you go like crouch for like 20 minutes and go the widest possible
and
way,
then you
right?
leave your team in a 3v2.
And like I've performed good flanks before, and I flank and I'll kill, maybe in trials I'll kill one guy and then I'm fighting the next, and obviously by the time I'm fighting the next guy he knows I'm there, and he'll throw the Revenant melee, the shuriken, miss me, hit the wall and bounce and then still hit me, and then my shots are like completely screwed because
You can't roll.
and I'm like, I've done everything right. I performed a good flank. I ambushed them. I killed a guy, and I still get screwed because some guy's like, and just like tosses it, and it seeks over to me, and I'm like, nothing I can do will ever beat these abilities. They're so powerful. Like that's why everyone just goes like in Cauldron. Everyone just goes. There's one stupid door, and everyone just yeets their grenades through.
Stuff through. Yeah,
40 grenades, and whoever like freezes the most people wins, and they'll just charge through and then kill you with secondaries. It's such.
I gotta say it was pretty refreshing this week, jumping into the Apex Arena experience because of all the things.
Let's move on to Apex
That's
Arena,
all the things that they've got in there that is sort of in direct competition to the Trials of Osiris activity. It's 3v3 round-based elimination game mode with revives, no respawns. It's kind of the same thing, in that regard. The only difference is your abilities supplement your gunplay. If you want more abilities, you have to pay for them, but it takes the same currency that you would use to buy a gun with a better optic. So you have to like weigh your options here. And there's no emote peeking. If you go into emote, all of the enemies turn invisible for you, so you can't see anything at all. And there's anti-cheat, and it was really refreshing. It was I'm not gonna lie, it's a very sweaty experience because there's strict skill-based matchmaking. But
Dude, like,
overall, the integrity of the game mode was really good.
Them tweeting out the like 3 peeking thing, it was basically a subtweet at Bungie. 'Cause it's like I really don't know other communities that complain about 3 peeking as much as Destiny. Like, it's such an issue here, and they showed, hey, we can just not render other players. We solved it, forehead. They tweeted out. I imagine some Bungie developers saw that and were like, oh,
Huh.
Hey, that's a great idea. We've been working on something for 4 years, and it still isn't here.
Yeah.
They just don't render them, forehead. Like,
Yeah.
like, oh, crap. But it's funny how you mentioned the buying thing. And I said, like, I'm not traditionally a big fan of like the buying system, and I'm still not, but it does solve that ability spam. Because it's like, okay, you want to throw a grenade every 7 seconds? Idiot. Like, you're going to have to buy it, and then you might not have a good gun, right? Whereas I buy a good gun, I can maybe pop you off. Whereas right now in Destiny, I can use the most powerful guns. I can use a dead man's and just hip fire you from across the map and have 100 discipline or 100 intellect and still get those incredibly powerful abilities.
Right, so there's a bit of trade-off. I also like that it really does feel like with the amount of money you get in Apex, like, it doesn't feel too snowbally or anything like that. Like, I always feel like I have a gun to compete, and it kind of scales up with them. Like, I've never been like, oh, their guns are way better. Where in Valorant, if you have a couple bad players on your team or they have a couple bad rounds, the whole other team's got, like, ops, and you're like, what the? Like, what do I do here, right? So, and because it takes away your guns, that's just another thing where it doesn't snowball. Everyone has to rebuy, and so I honestly really like that. It's a nice touch, and honestly, like, the biggest thing is if I want to use the R301 every single match, every single map, every single time, I can. And I can master the recoil pattern on it. And honestly, I feel like it makes you better at the game because you can use that gun and use it as a kind of white tier, blue tier, and you can get used to it. And then when you jump in game and find it, you're going to feel more comfortable. I feel like with a lot of BR games, I'm using a wingman and then this gun and that gun, and I never feel comfortable with any of them. Now I can get really comfortable with, you know, a weapon and kind of focus on it in practice.
I totally agree.
Recoil actually makes sense. Whereas, like, in Apex, if you shoot your gun and it recoils back and now it's aiming up here, the bullets go up there. In Valorant, your gun's pointed down here and the bullets are going this way.
Yeah.
You're like, what the frick's going on? I hate that. I hate that CSGO style. It's like, my gun's pointing to the ground.
But that doesn't make sense.
Going that way.
It's kind of like what remember when No Land Beyond used to do that in D1, where it would take flinch, visual flinch, but it would still shoot straight. So your barrel can be pointed to the sun and do shoot straight. Oh, it's so ridiculously stupid. But
that those like disconnects throw you. And Destiny does it a lot too. With if you're like fighting someone, so if I'm facing this way, you're fighting someone who's like facing this way, then they shoot you.
Yeah,
and you're like, what the frick?
No, but I totally agree with what Mike's saying. You know, I went with kind of being the sniper on our team for arenas, and so I just every round I had a sentinel every single round. So first round, that means I have to use a 6x scope because that's all you can afford. So you got that mega zoom, but I got to practice with the long zoom. I got to practice a lot with the bruiser optic, and then I went into the BR mode today after only playing arenas for several hours. I went into the BR mode. We won 10 games in 4 hours. Like, we were just banging out wins. We had like a 4-win streak, even on PC lobbies in doubles, which is a sweaty playlist. We were popping off, and I went for the Sentinel every time. And it's like I felt comfortable. I felt like I had a really good rhythm with it.
Yeah,
and it was great. They also hit record high concurrent player counts on Steam. They were up in the well over 300,000 concurrent players. The new characters being received very, very well. Ties in directly to the Titanfall lore. Very fun to fly around, but not OP. They've had a very nice Season 9 launch so far. They had a little bit of rocky start with the servers, but they had it sorted in a few hours, and everything's been smooth since then.
It's a very big deal because it's like this doesn't happen very often where you have this free to play game give you another option to play. Like Fortnite, you want to play Fortnite free to play? It's just BR. You don't like BR? You're not playing Fortnite. Same with a lot of other free to play. Warframe. It's really the same thing. It's different levels, but same style of gameplay. I think they added like an open world, so maybe we're wrong about that, but it is a big deal that it's like now they have BR and Arena, and you're attracting this whole other audience.
Right.
Or if you get sick of BR, you're like, where normally you'd be like, bro, this is a third time in a row. I've gotten trash loot when I landed. I'm getting off. Now you can just go into the arena mode. And like you said, Tash, guarantee your loot. You're not getting screwed.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's really fun. I'm curious to see what kind of legs it has long term, if it's going to keep players engaged. I definitely had fun. It does get really sweaty and everything, but I didn't mind the challenge. I think people are going to want some sort of ranks or like major rewards for playing in that thing.
Ranks are coming.
Yeah, and the other thing I noticed is like even in the daily missions, it's like you have to play battle royale games to earn some of the stars, and it's like, well, I don't want to. I want to play arena. And so I think if they had, play games as Bangalore in either would be really good for all of them. Some of them are. Some of them do say arena or BR, but it would be nice to have it. You can play whatever you want because some people are only going to want to play arena and some are going to only want to play BR. And I don't like when companies like force you to play the other game mode to like optimize.
I mean, it's kind of like what Destiny did with like Not Forgotten and stuff. People are like, I don't want to play comp. I hate comp. But it's like you had to play it because that gun was so powerful.
Right.
It's kind of an interesting thing. It's like they're going through kind of the same. It's just kind of an interesting thing.
Now, have you guys heard? I just want to throw this one in.
Well, hold on.
Quickly. What?
But listen. Before we get on to the Activision story,
I wasn't even talking about that.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I just had a quick question because it came up. Have you guys seen Phantasy Star Online 2?
No, I don't even know what it is.
I know I haven't played it, but I know what it is.
Well, here's the biggest thing I've never heard. I didn't even realize this. They've got Phantasy Star Online 2, and I've seen KackisHD playing a bunch. Well, apparently they're doing an open beta for this Phantasy Star Online 2. I think it's called New Genesis, and it's like another game that's just like, hey, we made a whole open world in it, and they're adding it in, and there's like a beta going on right away here, and it's getting like a ton of hype. Like a bunch of people have been bringing it up to me, and I'm wondering if you guys have heard of this because Phantasy Star is like a pretty big RPG game, and then they added this whole new mode, and it looks really good. I started looking at some videos. Definitely check that out if you haven't, because kind of looks like a banger. Like I'm considering starting it, and I was talking to Cammy Cakes, and he kind of said, if you've never played Phantasy Star and you want to jump in on this, it's like a whole new game. Like you're gonna be very comfortable in it. Like it's not like you're gonna be missing out. But if you have been playing a whole bunch, it's a whole bunch of new content. So I'm very interested to see. We're gonna have to kind of keep our eyes open because it could be one of those big games for the summer. And excited. I'm not gonna lie, that one's on the radar now. So, anyways, Kackis, what were you saying? What were you trying to say before I cut you off?
Boys, I've got some exciting news. This podcast is sponsored by Manscaped. Now, listen, you guys might want to be like, I'm getting out of here. Sponsorship. No, big deal here, boys. We got the Lawnmower 4.0. This is their new shaver. It's kind of listen.
It's just launching, like right now.
It's just launching. It's literally launching today. Like this, what you're seeing here is like basically one of the first times you're going to be able to see this. Now, if you're wondering if you're like, Manscaped, why would I get into Manscaped? Well, let me tell you right here. Manscaped is actually a pretty fantastic product. I'm one of the first people to try 4.0, and
I've got one as well.
I tried it today. No cap. Listen to this story. This is my wife. What did you say when I got out of the shower after using Manscaped, the 4.0?
I literally said, "Oh my god, it's huge."
Now, I don't hear
not
that
a paid
often.
actor.
I don't hear that very often. So you could that is could you imagine? Could you imagine? Like, how are you not on Manscaped.com? Buy this right now. All right, let me tell you a little bit of the feature of the 4.0 real quick. All right, so it's got a new multifunction on-off switch. It's got a travel lock for people who do like travel. You can just throw it in a bag, take it with you all the time. It gives you the ability to turn. It has a 400K LED spotlight. I can maybe turn it on here. It's got light. And what's one of those things where you're like, why would you need a light?
You need a light.
Get it, and you have the light. It's
You need a light.
How do I do without the light? It's like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. The new trimmer even allows you to customize your trim all over through additional guard length. Size 1 to 4 comes with like multiple of these things, so you can adjust the length.
Yeah.
And it looks, and looks wise, sleek with it's sleek, glossy. It's just professional. It's got like a custom like wireless charger, so you just put it in the little charger thing.
You can use it in a shower too, fully waterproof, baby.
Fully waterproof. So you got the little charger. You just like set it in the charger. Boom, it charges. It's got a little like light tells you how charged it is. Like, it's just a fantastic product. And guys, let me tell you right here, I got the talking points here, but I'm so bad at it. I'm just gonna talk from the heart for 2 seconds. A lot of you are probably like me, where you went to the local drugstore and you bought a random cheap razor, and you're like, how much better is like a Manscaped razor? Let me tell you, as someone who used that cheap razor for so long and thought like, I don't really need. You need this. Like, it is so much better. It is such a level up. You'll never be able to go back. It's such a step up. The blade's so much better. It's got the skin safe technology, so it's not giving you cuts. Like, it just really elevates. Like, it's just so much better if you are like me.
A good gauge is if I get sponsored to a product and I don't use it forever, like, But with Manscaped, they sponsored me like 2.5 years ago, and I've been using it since then. So like, that has been incredible. And they don't pay me to say that. I keep using it. So
now because I got this sponsorship for the podcast, they were like, well, we need a code, because we want to give your viewers the chance to not only get our fantastic product, but get it at a discount. And I said, why don't you just watch an episode, and whatever you come away with, give us that code. Therefore, the code is KackisHD20, because clearly all I heard was my voice interrupting you guys. So if you use code KackisHD20 on manscaped.com, you get 20% off. That's a great discount. Great product. Again, the Lawnmower 4.0, it just came out literally today. And it's like, if you are already using the 3.0, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are, the 4.0 is just like the next evolution. You got to use it. So KackisHD20, all one word. And that's, hey, you heard it from the wife, okay? You can't get any better than that, all right? So,
alrighty. Now,
KackisHD20. Yeah.
Let's move on to the Activision stuff. So, Activision, they made, $1.3 billion in the last quarter? They made an insane amount of money off microtransaction in Call of Duty. And
let that sink in. Over $1.3 billion.
Again?
1.3 billion
in the first quarter.
So in the first 4 months of 2021, $1.3 billion.
They made almost as much as I did playing Genshin.
Oh my god. Yeah. And you made that much playing Genshin, and this guy's trying to organize a trip with me, and he wants to stay outside of the city we want to go because it's cheaper. Like, what are you doing?
I actually consider it tenting. I consider it tenting.
I've never met someone so cheap who has this race value. You're telling me Pringles doesn't give you enough money to go on a proper vacation? Shut up, dude. I'm so annoyed.
Let's talk about Activision money. Okay, let's change the subject. Okay. Activision makes a ton of money, and then they say, do you know what would be a great idea? Let's take every single person that works here and put them on Call of Duty so we can hopefully make more money.
This is not an exaggeration. Almost, if not every studio Activision owns is currently working on Call of Duty in some capacity, or at least some portion of the studio is working on Call of Duty, and they're mainly not just working on Call of Duty in general, they're working on Warzone. It's like, that is how important Warzone on. Activision is literally like, all hands on deck, boys. We're all in this together working on Warzone. That's crazy.
I mean, it's big. It's huge. It's had an insane player base. Obviously, it's making a lot of money, but also, you know, an episode ago we were talking about Battlefield 6. And
Yep,
you know, if
yep.
there's no competition for Battlefield, maybe people start jumping ship a little bit. They go from the Call of Duties all the way over to Battlefield. Well, maybe, you know, Activision's like, we need a Call of Duty. Like, it's got to get out. And I'm very curious if all hands on deck is to try to maybe make up for some of the pandemic delays,
Maybe.
some of the other content delays. I don't know what other things they had in kind of the pipe work, but you know, have other games maybe been delayed or even canceled? Maybe some games we don't even know about yet have been pushed back because they are focusing on the golden goose, and they're gonna milk that golden goose until it's out of milk, if you know what I
Yep.
mean.
So there's some very interesting, if you kind of do a little digging, some really interesting stuff going on with this story. So like you said, there's some delays. So we kind of talked about this last time where they weren't sure. There was rumors that they weren't sure they'd be able to complete 2021's Call of Duty. And
Mhm.
therefore they were going to do Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, which I'm kind of apparently during their earnings call, they said, nope, Sledgehammer Games is going to be done with their Call of Duty. We're going to have a full-fledged Call of Duty campaign, co-op, multiplayer, 2021, launching, you know, around November, the normal time. We're good to go. Honestly, as someone who loved Modern Warfare 2, I'm kind of sad by that. I wish they would
Yeah.
fail so I can get Modern Warfare 2 Remastered.
That's right. No, but for
And
real.
jump ship, like I just play that for the rest of my life. But so that's one interesting thing, and maybe that is why they're bringing in so many studios, because in that earning call they said this Call of Duty will integrate with the current Call of Duty environment, so it will integrate into Warzone. And they have had, we've talked about it on the podcast, they've had a ton of problems with that, like attachments. Like you put on an attachment that says
That's right.
faster aim down sights time, it'll lower your aim down sights time. Like the attachments did the opposite of what they should do. Guns did different damage. So many things have been broken in Warzone. They've had a quite a hard time keeping up with Warzone, and especially with the integration. Like when Cold War came out and they had to add all its guns and attachments to Warzone, they had a really hard time, and a lot of things got broken. So maybe this is why they're bringing in like so many studios. It's like, oh my god, we're gonna do that again.
We got to make sure that it works.
Exactly.
Here's the thing I'm wondering is, like, I don't know if it's everyone, but all the old school guns, I hate the iron sights. Like, I despise iron sights
So
and like
where,
the old guns.
before you continue, what he's talking about, I didn't actually mention this. I talked about it before the pod, but this year's Call of Duty is rumored to be World War II again,
Yeah.
and so that's why he said that, because it's like all the guns are added to Warzone would technically be World War II guns, and so there's a huge question of balance of like,
Yeah.
can I put a thermal sight on my World War II gun?
Right.
Yeah,
There
right.
definitely was not thermal sights in World War II, right? So, or at least none that saw any practical combat. So it's like, how are they going to do that? And how are they going to balance that?
Like, am I gonna be running around with a musket and then some guy's got the garage just like killing me
Yeah.
0.2 seconds, bro?
Exactly. You've got your like Tommy gun, you know, with a 20 round magazine. I'm doing my best. Some
Yeah,
guy's
that's
got
right.
an MP5 50 round drum magazine, silent laser sight. Like, you can't put a laser sight on your World War II gun.
That's
Like,
right.
what-
Hey,
what-
but hey, they could use napalm back then. They could use flamethrowers and
Yeah, they could break
They
the
could-
Geneva Convention, so
that's right.
let's go for it. They're gonna be throwing
certainly
the
could.
what is the bombs? that are
White phosphorus?
Phosphorus.
White
Jesus.
phosphorus.
Yeah, so they could do some creative liberties, but like, then the question is, like, right now what they did with Warzone is and this happened very recently, they kind of redid the map a little bit, and now it's Warzone like 84. So it takes place in 1984, so Cold War era, right? If they do the same thing this year, it's going to be so weird. So it's set in World War II time, and yet people are running around with interventions and modern guns and night vision and stuff. Like, how is
Yeah.
it's just like, how is that going to work? It's really interesting. Or are they just going to add the guns and say, like, we don't even care. We're done with realism. You can put a thermal scope on your World War II gun. We don't even care.
Or
Maybe.
hear me out. Separate mode. Warzone for that game. Like, if they're building and putting all hands on deck, maybe they're having a whole nother map. Maybe they're making
Yeah,
another
they-
map just for that one.
trenches and
Yeah.
all that business. Yeah.
Interestingly, the two weapons they added for this season of Cold War are the PPSH and the Swedish K-31, which are both World War II guns. It's just
Really?
like they're just adding them, and they could just use the normal attachments. They just said we don't even care because like there is footage of like people in Iraq and Afghanistan, U.S. soldiers with PPSHs because they randomly find them from like insurgents that just have them surplus left over from World War II, and they still work. They can still shoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they might just say like, yeah, slap welded red dot sight to it, whatever. It's just like such an interesting story, like that. Warzone is so important. Every single studio is coming together to work on Warzone. Basically, is just Warzone.
They saw those dollar signs, man.
Crazy,
You
like,
know. And
I mean, $1.3 billion. Most of that's from Warzone, right? Like, what other Activision game is selling that many microtransactions?
that's right.
Like,
Why would
None.
you gamble on something new?
Well, yeah, I guarantee you, if they keep that up for the remainder of the year, they're going to have the resources to take some notes. That's sort of like my first reaction to it was like, oh, I don't like that because I want to see I want to see some other kinds of content. I want to see some other kinds of games. But at the end of the day, I mean, who knows? Maybe they make absolute bank off of Warzone for a full year, maybe all of 2021. It's 1.3 billion and above, for every quarter. And then they go into 2022 and they say, we got a lot of resources here. What can we do? I mean, maybe they'll pocket a lot of that and be like, yo, we made a lot of money. Cool. Or maybe they'll try to infuse something really cool into the gaming industry after that. We don't know.
So one of the conspiracies coming out of this, so one of the studios is like, I think it's called Games for Tom or something. It's a studio and it works on the Skylanders stuff, right?
Yeah.
You guys know about that? You get
Yeah.
like the actual figurines and you like put them into stuff and you do Skylanders. This studio was the infamous Activision studio that patented like the craziest skill-based matchmaking system we've ever seen. Like it went into like how your interactions are with other players, and like if you were like a positive person, it would like match you better, and if you're like being mean, it would like match you differently, and like it was crazy. It went over like everything, dude. It was like one of the craziest. So Activision patented this, and obviously a bunch of like the the YouTubers with the big down red arrows, those type of people, like the like crashing red arrows, like it all went over that crazy stuff. But again, it was with Skylanders, and they're like, this patent for Skylanders, a lot of the aspects of it wouldn't even work with Call of Duty. But now you have that studio for that patent, and it is now officially working on Warzone.
Yeah.
So of course, this is bringing up a lot of the same like, oh crap,
sure.
like, and again, like they're making so much money on microtransactions. It is like, hey, are we just going to put you into a lobby with everyone who bought the new skin or everyone who's using the new weapon? So you're like, I need to buy the PPSH. Like everyone's slaying me with it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, that's the conspiracy, right?
Well, think about like when a new meta happens in Destiny and everyone's like, what is this not forgotten thing? What is this Fell Winter's Life? Fell Winter's Life. Fell Winter's Life. You keep seeing it. You keep dying. They just did it with Stasis. I keep dying to freezing. I keep dying to Stasis. I'm buying the DLC because it's like pay to win. And so like they're going to do that. They're going to throw you in lobbies with someone who's got this cracked World War II K or Car 98 or whatever it is, and then you're going to go buy the DLC. You're going to buy the expansion.
Yep. I mean, literally the meta for Warzone after the integration was almost all Cold War guns. Yeah. Like it was like an M14 meta for quite a while. That was a Cold War gun. Then it was the FFAR meta. Yeah. That was a Cold War gun. So it's very clear that the weapons they let be a little too OP are all from the new game.
You want to know?
You have to buy the new game to get them.
You want to know something crazy? Is actually one of the guys that worked on The Division. I followed him for a long time. And someone was talking about, new features and stuff coming out OP. And like, they always do this. And he's like, no shit. Like, I'm making brand new content. Everyone has been waiting for months and months and months. I have the decision. Do I make it better than what's in the game, or do I make it worse? I can try to balance it, but do I make it better or do I make it worse? I'm obviously going to make it better because everyone's going to get hyped and I can always bring it down. But if you bring it out and it's trash, everyone's just mad from the start.
Everyone's angry.
And they're mad for different reasons. But like
Sure.
every piece of content that drops, the new stuff is always going to be better and people just need to accept it. Because the developers know it is probably the most financially successful when there's a hot new thing. It's exciting to play with new things. And the mass majority of people, they don't care about balance. They just want to yeet people with 900 rounds in their drum gun and be like, this is insane. They want to dual wield it, right?
Yeah.
And they want to go invisible. And they want to kill 40 people. And then once it gets nerfed, it gets nerfed. But I really do think that it always, in most games, is going to step it up, step it up, step it up.
Interestingly, if you do balance it right, what's a good example of like not doing that? Actually, really interestingly, is the Taken King. That expansion, people forget, that expansion sunset a lot of remember when Taken King came out, you couldn't use your old longbow synthesis, you couldn't use your old stuff. They Bungie literally sunset back in Destiny 1 and everyone forgets about it. But they did. And they not only did that, they lowered the power of guns because they remember before when Destiny 1 first came out, if you got like increased stability, it would just increase stability. And then with Taken King, they made it so that, okay, it increases stability, but it also lowers range. Or it increases range, but it lowers something else. They made it have a downside. And so Taken King, actually, your power level dropped. Because remember how ass tier the King's Fall weapons were? Like the auto rifle shot to the moon. And aside from the machine gun and the sniper rifle, it was just pretty
like Zilly's Bane. That hand cannon was horrible.
The hand cannon, it was like... it's like so long. So they actually lowered the power level, but they added so much raw content that everyone forgot and no one cared.
Yeah.
So that's like an example of like the Division. I'm sure the Division does it because like there is no actual content. It's just running around different parts of New York shooting a guy for half an hour until he dies, right? It's like, so if you actually have a solid game and you're not spending all your money on new IPs, you can introduce a DLC that has so much raw content and interesting new stuff that you can keep the power level in check.
True.
A lot of people are looking at Activision right now after that, that quarterly update. They're hearing the news of all the studios being on COD now, and they're like, man, that's a money grab and a half. But if you want to talk a money grab, you might want to take a look over here at Sony, who's like the apparently news came out this past week. They're the only platform charging games, charging publishers for crossplay.
Let's talk about where this came from. This is from the lawsuit that's ongoing, where it's Epic Games versus Apple, and in there, the Epic Games CEO confirmed that Sony is the only platform that will charge for crossplay. So you want crossplay? Xbox is like, okay. Steam, PC is like, whatever, we don't care.
Sony's
says, like,
you owe us.
Yeah, you gotta get
all the people who aren't going to be playing on our platform now. I mean, that's fine if you want to do that. You got to pay us.
Yeah, which is crazy. It's like, Sony, you're winning the console war, aren't you? And they like, it aren't like PS4s and PS5s are by far on top.
It also has to make you wonder, like, at what point does that start hindering them long-term business-wise? It's like, all right, you want to play Fortnite everywhere? You're going to pay us. They're going to grab their money from a couple different companies. They're going to get the Bungie money, right? Because Destiny's going crossplay. And they're going to be like, all right, we're going to profit from you. But then when do people say, all right, F you then? We're going to go to the other consoles or we're going to work on some other deals. I don't know. But
so it's Xbox can play with PC and vice versa, and then they just cut PlayStation out. They're like, fuck them.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah, and there's nothing that says that what happens when a publisher does make that call, and then when the community undeniably will get upset and say, well, why can't you're doing crossplay between Xbox and PC, but you're not going to do PlayStation? Why aren't you doing PlayStation?
Honestly,
and then they throw them under the bus. They say, because Sony's the only person that's going to make us pay for it.
They're going to make us pay $40 million, and we just can't do it.
Honestly,
you upset about it? Talk to Sony.
That's the best approach. Like, a lot of developers wouldn't want to do that because it was kind of like burn
bridges with Sony.
But it's like they should just say, hey, we literally, Sony's charging for it. We can't afford to develop crossplay if we have it with Sony. So take it up with Sony. And I feel like if enough people, like developers did that, people would start raising pitchforks.
Sony might be like, hey, okay.
But you never know, dude. Like like Sony is probably doing this because Sony is, like I said, they're selling the most consoles. They're number one. It's like good luck doing crossplay without, where the vast majority of your player base is, which is PlayStation.
Yeah. No, 100%. There's just so many people that are on it, and like if you're cutting out that whole thing, your game isn't going to last as long too. So if you look at like Warzone, they're like, yeah, we have to do it. We have to do it because there's more people playing. That's more microtransaction. Instead of 1 billion, we're making 1.3 billion. Like there's going to be companies out there that they will pay it whatever it is because they know they're going to profit. Even if they don't like it, they're going to do it. It's all the smaller devs that are like,
Yeah, they're getting screwed.
we can't give away 20% of our profit to have crossplay or whatever it is. I don't know what the figure is, but some companies are 100% going to get hurt by it, and Sony's just kind of not bullying them, but
I mean,
they're not making
if
a
I
great
was-
ecosystem, in my opinion.
I mean, if I was like Xbox is great on the social media. They got some, hilarious
that's
people
true.
behind their social media accounts. I would just start memeing on Sony. Be like, free ice cream day and Sony still charges or something. I don't know. Like,
Or just like
start.
free ice cream day, and then the cone's $5. Like,
Yeah. It's like, or just like retweet it, be like, "Hey Sony, what's going on? Like, we just want to like gamers play with gamers," and then it's like put it on Sony. And if
That's
Sony
right.
doesn't say anything, they look bad. If they do say something, they look bad, right? I mean, I think that might be the way to go. Someone's saying,
Name and shame, baby. Name and
Yeah.
shame.
again, someone's like, Epic makes billions. They can take the hit. Yes, Epic can take the hit. Godfall can't. Like games like Godfall, games like these tiny games, they're never gonna have crossplay because there's no way they have the revenue to afford to pay Sony.
yeah, like so.
Yeah.
Godfall only sold 40 copies, right? So I mean, they can't afford these amounts.
Yeah. So it's like, but hey, there are some popular indie games like freaking
It's true.
Among Us. Like Among Us can afford to now, but like as it was growing, it's like, how fun would Among Us crossplay have been?
Yeah.
And it's like they probably looked at it and they're like, we can't afford this.
Yeah.
So it's like that. Those are the type of games you're getting screwed out of. Among Us is probably a bad example because it got so popular and they made so much money. They probably could have afforded it. But it's just like there's a lot of solid small games that aren't going to be able to afford that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it's time to move on.
To our favorite topic.
Everyone's favorite topic.
I wish we could show the emote.
I wish I could show the emote, but just
I'll
imagine
pull it up on my phone.
imagine Tifa's torso in cartoon form, wearing clothing, gets banned off of Twitch. And this is
2 shirts. She's wearing 2 shirts.
yeah, this
Here
is,
you go.
This is
Yeah,
literally
here we go.
2 shirts, baby.
That's
2.
the emote. So that it's just some boobs. It's not really skimpy. There's no nudity. It's some boobs.
Here, let me see if I can bring up the just chatting section on Twitch right now. Let's just see if I can bring this up. It's actually quite tame right now.
Okay, we better tell the story before we get off.
Go
So,
for it.
that emote of a chest, female chest, was banned. That's some Twitch partners emote had that, and that was banned. So they took it down. You can't use it anymore. And he's saying, okay, hold on. This is not allowed, but the hot tub meta is A-okay.
Yeah, he compares the side by side. Yeah.
It goes exactly into what we were talking about in last episode, where it's like, again, we want to make it clear. If you're a female streamer and you're raking it in for the hot tub meta, more power to you. You're obviously working out like crazy. You look great. You're doing your thing.
You're doing your hustle.
You're doing your hustle. That's totally fine. The issue is with Twitch and their really bad enforcement of the rules. And this is another example of that, where it's like a chest with 2 breasts. It's basically you can tell it's a female figure, is banned, but the hot tub meta is fine. And so it's like, okay, well then what is acceptable here? Like, why is Twitch banning one and okaying the other?
Because there's not even midriff showing, but there's a full-on bikini or cleaning up after the hot tub stream, like literally bent over, and it's like, whoa!
Yeah.
Like there were emotes of dog butts that got banned. Like 55 had an emote of her dog's butt that got banned, and it's like, but look at this! Like there's literally,
Yeah.
Anyways,
So
Ryan,
here's the thing. I think I think there is at least a conversation to be had about it. I don't think it's like a clear cut. Okay, no, that shouldn't have happened. I think you do have to at least take some factors into account here. First and foremost, an emote can be used anywhere. It can be used in any chat, even if it's not labeled 18 plus. So Twitch does have to take that into account. Sure, the hot tub meta needs to be labeled, but an emote does not.
Have we confirmed that? Like we hope, but like, can you stream your hot tub meta?
I think you do have to label it that it's not for kids. It's not for kids, right? So there's that. It can be used anywhere. It can even be integrated as a sticker and used in places other than Twitch. So they have to think about covering their bases there too, because that could blow back on them. So they do have to consider that. The other thing you have to consider is emote combinations. There's probably a way that you can combine some other emotes with a chest to make something that is very clearly not appropriate.
Yeah.
And so there are some factors there that they do have to take into consideration.
And I think what you said, that's really the reason, is that an emote can be used if you're streaming and you're not an adults only stream and you're not an 18 plus stream, right?
And you can use it anywhere.
But technically, if you go to a hot tub stream, you have to click I'm above 18, which, there's a whole nother topic, how freaking easy it is to be like, where are you born? Some 13-year-old's like, I was born in 1970. Like, all right, Timmy. Like, you know what I mean? So that's a whole nother topic, but I think that's the reason, is like an emote can be used anywhere, even on other people's channels. So they need to treat that a lot more harshly. They need to be very, very G-rated in terms of emotes, right?
But like, are you going to get banned for playing Final Fantasy VII that shows as much cleavage as Tifa does in the emote? Like I would say that Final Fantasy VII Remake, Tifa's hotter than that. Like it's more sexualized than that emote is. And it's like people are playing that like crazy, and you don't have to mark it 18. If you play the basic Final Fantasy VII like original polygon, Tifa is probably sexier. Like honestly, Ocarina of Time, like Impa is probably more revealing than the emote. It's just like it's like, where do you draw the line? They cannot make a decision. They've got a blind guy trying to find the line.
Triangles.
Yeah,
and
I still do.
And I think I think another important thing is like it's like they need to do something about this, because it's so easy. Like, even if, like we just said, we broke it down, you have to treat an emote harsher than a stream because you can mark a stream above 18, right? It makes actually a lot of sense. But it's so easy for this to happen, and some guy's gonna tweet out, "Look at what got banned! Look at what's that just chatting," and then everyone's gonna get riled up, as they probably should, because it's just such an egregious, like, what's going on here, right? So, like, they're gonna have to do something. I think they're gonna have to do something with emotes. They may have to say, like, you have a section of emotes that you can only use on 18 plus streams, right? So if you're on a stream, then you can use that emote. That if you're on a stream that's marked 18 plus, you can use these emotes. Otherwise, they don't appear for you. Something like that, because it's like, it's just like we said, how they're enforcing the rules is the issue. And it just seems like it's so random, it's so varied, and it's just getting everyone upset.
I mean, I guess the thing is, like, do you really need that emote? Like why do you need a picture of...
You paid, you probably paid someone for it.
But no, but why do you need that for your channel? Like,
the only purpose it serves is just to be boobs, right?
Yeah.
So you can compare apples to apples to the hot tub stream, but it would technically, if you really want to make a fair comparison, it would be the same thing as tuning into a stream and it just being a woman's chest.
Because then it would get banned.
Even if it's clothed, it would just be a camera on a chest. That would probably get banned. So if you're trying to be fair and compare apples to apples correctly,
yeah.
I don't know if I can in good conscience say they made a bad decision there by banning that emote. I don't know if I can say that.
It's just like when you picture if you look at the whole picture, it looks weird. But like if you take it in the most literal sense, hold
on a second. In the most literal sense, it's just human anatomy. It's a double clothed. It's like, what's inappropriate about boot? Like, you're gonna go outside and you're gonna see that in public. Your kid is gonna see that. It's not inappropriate. You're fully clothed.
But what do you do when a man comes up and he limits his field of view to just right in front of your wife?
Okay, yes, you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
You're also right.
It's not all of this. It's just this.
Yeah, like, what if he comes up and
you're gonna deck the guy, aren't you? Right? if
But
he
it's
comes
like,
up and
okay,
he's like,
hold on, okay, what about
You know what I'm
like
saying?
for example, like a guy's bicep, like a big flex. It's like okay, is that
But
inappropriate?
this-
You're saying maybe hold on. In your example, like a guy comes right up and looks just at your boobs. What if a girl comes up and grabs your bicep? It's like, oh my gosh, right? That's very sexual in that context. But it's like, are we saying that certain body parts are off limits? Like, I don't know. It's very it
I think
is
I think it's an okay
strange.
to say that certain body parts are definitely
Yeah, I guess if you have a big moose knuckle showing in an evo, like
like
that.
like if you're going if you're having some time with your wife or you're sitting there with her
Yeah,
elbow like, yep.
yeah,
No, there are
yeah.
some body parts that are specifically
You're right. Listen, you're freaking right. Like but like that's the thing. It's just there's such a gray area. We have this
Yeah.
massive gray area where we just can go endless with these debates, and like there's no right answer. So Twitch needs to be like, boom, concrete. If it's just boobs, it's no. If it's an outline of your dick in your sweatpants, it's also a no, right?
Yeah.
Like make rules, and then
Yeah.
and then if you can point to a rule and say this is a rule you broke, you can make people be like, all right. But
that's
it's like it's so vague, and it's like no sexual content. But then again, they allow the hot tub stream, so it's like, well, what's sexual content? And then they certain stream with things that other streamers won't, and it seems like there's preferential treatment, not just between different sexes. It'll be like two female streamers or two male streamers are treated very differently at times, right? And it's just like they need to be very clear with these rules, and they're just getting in trouble all the time because of it.
Yeah. And the more times it happens, the more times they get clipped. And the more it's like it sets a weird precedence of like this got banned, this didn't. And then it didn't get banned, it does. And then everyone's just annoyed. And that's the thing is it's like I think a lot of people don't have a lot of faith in Twitch. And it just seems like L after L after L after L. And like a lot of partners just don't trust them. And so
It's like
the
when
biggest
they-
recommendation we can give you is don't even try to skirt the rules. Don't even try to like get close to them. Just don't even mess with Twitch because you're gonna lose, and you're gonna lose your channel because you said, I don't know, anything. You can say anything at this point. I don't even know.
who knows.
So
I think that like it just shows they're so out of touch. It's just like, remember when they had all the DMCA stuff going on and everyone was deleting their life's work?
and
to
they're
get
like,
avoid
we had
that?
a big year in music.
We had a big year in music. They actually said that. They're so tone deaf. They allowed that to happen. And it shows like whoever's running Twitch is just completely clueless, right? Completely clueless. Again, like Twitch, get your money back. All right, you gotta shake whoever's in charge. You gotta replace them. Like these people have no clue what they're doing. It's very clear. You need to have clear cut rules. You need to have
That's
clear
right.
leadership that
Yes.
outlines these things, because it's just very unfair for people who get caught in the crossfire. You know,
Yeah.
someone, again, gets banned for something that someone else didn't get banned for, or vice versa. It's getting ridiculous.
Yep, that's absolutely right.
All right. Well, normally we have real gamer hour after dark at this point, but Tash has got to go.
I actually can
Uh,
stay.
You can say, really?
I delayed it because I care more about this podcast than them.
Oh,
I said, listen,
What
I'll
a-
do it later
what a
tonight or
guy.
tomorrow. So we're vibing.
Let's do it. All right. In that
What a
case,
guy.
baby, it's real gamer hours after dark. So you guys in chat, ask your questions, ask away, and we're gonna answer that as those are coming in. Tash, you can read off some of the fantastically generous donators.
Sure. We got a $10 donation from Finite Impactor, probably the cutest guy we've ever seen in chat. Frosty Dog Gaming with a $5 donation says, I love you guys' content. Awesome that you do this podcast. Thank you for watching us. We appreciate you guys as well. We've got the highest total member count we've ever had on the channel. We're at 110 members. We actually, I think, just unlocked another emote slot. And so there's going to be one that is just my boobs.
Yeah.
What's that? We can't do that? Okay, never mind. We're going to have to check and do something else.
Just a really close up of a nipple. Like, it's so close, no one knows what it is, and then we can never get in trouble because it's like, well, what is it?
And if you do want to become a member and get access to our emotes and just support
That's
the channel
muted.
so we can do
Yeah,
this,
I saw you.
there is a membership link there in the chat. Click that and you can become a member of the RGH freaking podcast. And that's where all the cute boys and girls and baby fallen go.
I think
Heck yeah.
I think we can get away with that emote here on YouTube. All we have to do is label it yoga. If you title it yoga,
Yeah.
or
Instead, we're just educating people on
Brazilian
yoga.
waxing.
Yeah. Brazilian wax tutorial. Yoga tutorial.
Also,
oh, man.
also, do not look that up if you are on a shared computer or if you have someone who's going to yell at you. If you are a younger audience member, do not be looking that up because it is 100% not allowed. TV is muted. No, he's not.
no, not
He
anymore.
was for like
I
2
was.
seconds.
He's
Chat,
just
you
silly.
pick. You pick.
I
the
think
barrel proof.
someone donated, said I just made dinner, but no one showed up because of a baseball
Gonna kill
game. How do you calm down? Listen, baby, you eat to your heart's
You
delight,
eat all the food. That's how you do.
and then you
All
have
right.
delicious leftovers.
Like you're like, hey, listen, nobody's here to
Yeah.
police my eating, so I'm
And,
gonna eat how much I want.
Brandon just
drink what I want with
donated
it.
and said, I've been watching since the first episode. First time in chat. Always love the stream. You guys have any input on Outriders in its current state? And do you still play? Oof.
Yes.
Outriders got hit with
I
a
can-
rough
I
one
can
today.
talk. I can talk about that if you want.
Yes.
Go for it.
I'm up to speed there.
Go
so
for
yeah,
it.
they made
First
a lot
time
of
for everything.
yeah, I know, right? They made a lot of changes to some of the more popular builds. One of them was, if you're not plugged into Outriders, there was this mod that on your armor that made it. It's called Emergency Stance. It made it so that when your health dropped to like a critical level, it would apply a 60% reduction to incoming damage for a short time.
Like a must
The
use.
problem was that the mod was glitched, and it would stay applied permanently. So the very first time your health went critical, you would get that 60% damage reduction, and then it would stick. So for the rest of the expedition, the whole end game activity. So imagine if like Pulse Monitor on Destiny, when it procced, it stayed procced for the rest of your act. You know what I'm saying? Like it kind of broke things. But everyone was using it, right? Because everyone wants to get to the highest tier CT15 of endgame content as quickly as possible. So they're using the thing everyone's using, even if it's busted. Well, they nerfed that along with some other things that affected survivability. And now that's the problem. That's like the hot word in all the forum threads. Everyone's talking about survivability. All the articles being written are about how Outriders players are so mad because they're dying in endgame activities. And again, I think this circles back to the conversation we had about the anomaly round builds getting nerfed. The thing is, this game is supposed to have an endgame grind. And there are some things that kind of cheapen it a little bit. I have a build right now that is a bit of a glass cannon build, but I can survive, and I never used emergency stance. The thing is, it's just going to require players to have a little bit more time and effort and energy into grinding, staying where you are for now. You got to be content with saying, I'm at CT12 right now, and that's where I'm going to be for a little bit until I get all the gear I need to make this build work so I can really push for that CT13, 14, 15. It's going to take some time, and players are impatient. Players want to find a way to get to 15 today, you know what I'm saying? And that's why they're frustrated. They had an option to do that. It got taken away. Personally, I don't think it's a problem. I think it's only good for the game. It helps other builds shine. It adds some
Buff
needed
anything?
longevity
They
to it.
buff any abilities?
Let's see. So for buffs, they had some minor tweaks, but for the most part, not really. I
Yeah,
think
see
it's,
that might
but-
be. I know, but it's like for appearance's sake, show some love to some underperforming abilities, and because you need to like, okay, we nerfed your build, but now we're dangling this carrot of like, here's another sweet build, right? Where it's like, yeah, we nerfed emergency stance, but this mod got a lot better, and so you're like, oh, maybe I'll try that out. If you just go, it's nerfed, figure it out, and you don't have a direction of where to go next, I think that might be a bit off-putting for a lot of people.
I think that honestly, I think players just need to be willing to do a little bit of research. Quite frankly, there's some great content creators out there. I think of there's a YouTuber by the name of Abby Hour. She's really cool. She's a great gal. And she posts all kinds of crazy builds for Outriders that are off meta, and she's soloing CT15 expeditions with cracked out builds that don't use emergency stance, aren't using anomaly rounds, and it's going to require a little bit of creativity. You got to do a little bit of grind, but her builds are just nuts. I enjoy her content, and I'm like, oh, cool. I've actually physically written down in my notebook I keep here for my editing purposes some of the stuff she's using. So I'm like, next time I see that, I'm gonna hang on to it.
Now, I'm just going to show you really quickly. I'm going to just jump over here. This is the Google Trends for Outriders. So in the last 30 days, it has definitely started coming down. It's actually dropping down below Destiny 2. Division 2 is much lower. But, you know, there was also a massive spike when the game came out. So you can see that Outriders was way above Destiny for a short period of time. But it does seem that it's kind of, you know, falling off here, but it's falling off to a point similar to Destiny 2. My thing is they had that bug with like the inventory, and it seemed like it was taking forever to fix it. And I was like, oh, they must have fixed it by now. And then I looked, and they still had the problem like a month and a bit in. I couldn't believe it that they still had this bug. People are having issues with their inventory that late in. But, you know, the people that like the game. I think it does bring something pretty unique into the, you know, the ecosystem of looter shooters. And I think it has some good points. I didn't love it. I got bored super quickly. I wasn't going to push into the end game because I just didn't like it enough to commit a whole bunch of time. But there are some people that are, you know, the Reddit. There's some people on the Reddit posting guides and talking and kind of Ryan was saying there's groups on Facebook and Reddit that are saying, hey, you need help grinding? We'll kind of carry you through. So there is a community there if you want to play the game.
So I played a decent amount.
I still play it.
Yeah.
I kind of stopped making videos because I just kind of had to get back on track with Destiny 2, or else the algorithm would be like, we're just never going to show anyone your Destiny 2 content again.
That's like me right now. If I post a Destiny video, no one knows it even exists.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Crazy.
So I need to get back on track with Destiny, but it was like, I was still playing it after I stopped posting videos. Like I played a decent amount, but I kind of stopped because it was like, I reached the tier 15. I had cracked builds. They're since maybe nerfed. I was still able to do easy tier 15s with, you know, some anomaly rounds and some technomancer builds even after it got nerfed. But it's like at some point you kind of, it's like they need to add some more missions or change a few things with the end game just to keep that freshness, to give you a reason to keep grinding. I think if they just do that, it's like we're talking some very minor changes. I think it'll be a lot better. But it was never designed as like a what happened with that
live
trend?
service game.
Yeah, it's not a live service game. What happened to the trend is kind of what they expected. Everyone has a bunch of fun. They get to the end game, and they kind of stop playing. That's what that's what you used to do with games.
Yeah, they're very in the green. They sold a lot of copies of that game. It was pretty well reviewed by some pretty critical sources. So they sold a lot of copies. I think they did just fine for
dude.
what it is.
If they ever add like a DLC, I'm back in it. Like if they add a DLC, I'm back. I'm getting a new loot, probably grind some new content. I'm happy to re-jump in.
Yeah.
So
of course. Did you guys try Returnal? Have you guys played Return a little? The new roguelike.
I've watched almost a whole playthrough of it. But I haven't played it myself, no. It looks great. It's a fun roguelike looking game.
Yeah. I contemplated buying a PS4 or a PS5 just to play it because I love roguelikes. But it's so annoying getting a PlayStation still. I'm like, honestly, I just don't want to play into the scalpers. And that whole thing has tainted getting consoles and the new graphics cards for me. Even if I could get one, I'm kind of like, no, I don't want to. Like, I don't even want to. I don't want to support Sony because
I'm not a part of your system.
I don't know.
It wasn't Sony's fault so much. It was like Walmart and like all those places that had no checks and balances on like Walmart doesn't care. Yeah. Right. And so it's like they're like, why would we're Walmart, we made $1 billion a year or more, probably more. Why would we make you do, you know, 2-factor authentication, or why would we make you do just check a button to make sure you're not a robot? They're just like, they didn't care. And so that's why the scalpers ran so wild.
Right. Yeah. They're getting a sale no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the problem is the middleman that they're going through, you know, Walmart, Best Buy, whatever. They don't care.
Exactly. It hurts.
They don't care. They're still getting paid.
It hurt. It does. Yeah, it hurts the brand of like Sony or Nvidia.
Yeah.
Not enough people are mad at Walmart, right?
Yeah,
like
they're literally like, scalpers are not our problem. We are selling our inventory at lightning speeds. Why would we care?
Exactly.
Right. Anyone
What do you think
else?
of Apex adding a PvE mode like Overwatch 2? Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
They did. There's been a number of seasons that have had PvE activities. If I don't know if you knew this, Apex Legends has had a number of PvE activities in their game that kind of push the narrative forward. You know, they had like Revenants, Upside Down world, sort of like the think of Stranger Things. You know, there's the Upside Down. They sort of had that where you would load into the BR map, but it looked kind of like the Upside Down, and there were like these monsters running around. You weren't playing into the players, but it was PvE. You're killing like these demodogs sort of thing, right?
Right.
And you had to like try and get out and get extracted before the whole horde like piled on you. They have experimented with that some, but yeah, whether or not they push that further, I don't know. I would expect that they probably will.
It's interesting, like if the arena mode pops off, they're like, "What's next? It's just let's add a campaign, a PvE, a co-op mode or something."
Yeah.
And could you imagine by the end, like in 5 years, Apex is just a sprawling game. It's all free to play. You know, like that could be wild.
Is an MMO built stage by stage?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
just amateur. What a weirdo. Just kidding. He says, what do you guys think about the Discord plus PlayStation thing? We didn't talk about that just yet. We talked a little bit about PlayStation charging for crossplay, but
It is interesting.
yeah, so Discord, like Microsoft was gonna buy them. That was the rumor. And then
that wasn't a rumor. They were actually in
They're
talks.
trying
That was
to.
confirmed.
and then Sony's like, no. Like Sony slips in there last one and partners with Discord, I guess.
Yeah.
But like for what purpose? I was reading some articles and it's like, why?
Like, what's the strategic value there?
Just so Sony can get rid of its own like trash party system and
Or
then just
maybe
run
just
it
to
all through Discord?
Maybe it's literally just to undermine Microsoft. Microsoft's
Yeah.
up to something. Can we sabotage it? I don't know.
Yeah,
Hey, let's reach
literally.
out to Discord and say, hey, let's partner together. We'll let you keep your autonomy. We won't buy you. We just want to work with you.
So you start like instead of a PlayStation party, you can start like a Discord party. Or maybe, you know what? I think what this would probably mean is like you could be in Discord in a Discord server on your PlayStation. So if you we're playing crossplay and UTV can join my Discord server or your Discord server through your PlayStation, so you don't have to like have a second PC with Discord open and you're on there, right?
Right.
That's sweet.
Because then some people, they want to use one and not the other, right?
Well, you think about this past week, Mike, you and me playing Apex together.
Yeah.
And that would fix our
Me?
problem
Yeah, truly.
because I'm on PS5 and you're on PC. So I have to either have a mix amp or have an earbud in to talk to you on Discord, or you have to do some fancy thing where I join the Discord, but I mute my mic and you mute your mic in the game. You know what I mean? Like,
But it's kind of, isn't that so funny though? Like, so we're talking about, we've identified one of the coolest things about them partnering is that it'll enable crossplay a lot easier because you can all be in the same Discord party via crossplay potentially. And yet they're the ones charging for crossplay and limiting crossplay.
hey, they got to pay for their partnership deal with Discord
I guess,
now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. That's so weird.
Anyways, that is gonna wrap it up, I think. Not seeing too many more questions flooding in. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Oh, what? You have one? Did you see one?
Oh, one interesting thing is like, do you guys try any of the new Resident Evil stuff?
No, all he did was make a stupid meme about me today with it. That
Dude,
giant
I
lady.
saw that.
Do you guys ever play those type of games or no?
I'm not good with
I'm
scary
not-
games.
I'm not
Same.
huge into. I'm not a Resident Evil fan, but some of my closest friends really are. So they are definitely
Dude,
very jazzed about it.
I get scared from like phasmophobia, dude.
Oh,
I'm like,
I live for
I'm like in the house, I hear a bump, I'm like out of there, bro. I'm like, oh shut God, bro.
I
Oh, man.
have almost 400 hours of Phasmophobia.
Oh my
I did
gosh.
one of my favorite streams this past year was I did Phasmophobia solo for like 5 hours straight, just solo hunts on professional. It was super intense, but it was fun.
See, I was making some dinner the other day and we were about to eat, and Kat had some creepy movie on in the living room, and I'm like, turn that off. Like, just the music is unsettling.
unsettling.
Like, I can't even eat. I can't even eat because I can hear this music in the background. Like, I am
Dude, that's
a pretty big baby with scary movies.
that's my wife, except for it's freaking murder podcast. So I come
Oh,
down,
yeah.
I come down to get like a sandwich or something, and it's like Episode 476. Then he cut out her eyeballs and ate her eyeball. I'm like, what do you listen? Like, what
Dude, what is it with
listen
women?
to?
And she's like
Stephanie
eating.
loves that stuff.
Yeah. It's like, and then
like- I'm
it's
like,
like
that's
the most
messed up.
disgusting. It's like, then he
She's
cut
like,
the
"You gotta hear this."
11-year-old child in half. And you're like, jeez, I'm
Yeah.
trying to eat a sandwich here. Yeah, you're like, oh my god.
She gives me the play-by-play for all this
Oh,
horrific stuff. I'm like,
yes, bro.
I don't want to know that.
Yeah, you're like putting barbed wire around the windows. You're like, jeez.
Yeah.
Right? And they learn the weirdest thing because she's kind of getting a chicken ready for dinner and she's snapping these ligaments. She's like, you wouldn't believe how easy it is to snap
Yeah.
these bones. Like,
All three of our wives know how to dispose of a body and get away with it. Basically, it's like kind of honestly a little sketch.
incredible. Every time I see her going through Home Depot, I'm gonna start eyeing her up. Like, hold on. a
Yeah,
second.
It's like-
What's that
she's
hammer
like
for?
the
What's
big
that bleach
shears,
for?
like,
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
A
Oh
bunch
my
of
God.
plastic wrap, eh? Industrial
Yeah.
size.
And she's like asking people, "Is this the acid that will dissolve human flesh?" You're like, "Whoa, whoa!"
But our wives are smoking, so the guy's like, "Oh yeah." No one's questioning it. They're like,
No
"You
one's
could
questioning
dissolve
that.
an elephant with this." And they're
Yeah.
checking them out. Like, come on.
Oh
Brutal.
my gosh.
Oh man.
Yeah, exactly. That like TikTok. Her legs were cut off. Her arms were cut off. Her eyes were pulled off.
Anyways,
Oh, man.
thank you so much for watching the RGH podcast or listening if you're listening to the podcast as well. We do this every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure to follow/subscribe to this beautiful podcast because it's incredible. I mean, that's all there is to it. And we will bring all the hottest gossip and gaming news every single Wednesday. I'm Mtashed.
With a special shout out today to Manscaped and the Lawnmower 3.0 or 4.0. We want to say thank you to them for sponsoring. We're a big boy podcast. We're getting real sponsorships now with real good products. So we're happy about that. And again, thank you to them. And just to reiterate, lastly, if you use code KackisHD20, you get 20% off your Manscaped thing. Again, they just came out with the 4.0 trimmer. It's a big improvement over the other one. It's fantastic. Definitely try it out. If you're not using Manscaped, you just got some crappy trimmer, you're missing out. You're missing out.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm Mtashed.
Love you guys.
I'm KackisHD.
I'm True Vanguard, baby.
And we are the RGH podcast, and we will see you guys next week.
Yep.
Next week.
See ya.